YouTube! What the crap is going on? Nomadic Heir here, bringing you the next Heir's faction focus, which will be on the Massagetae, or Massagetae, or however you say that. The Massagetae. Whatever, I don't know how to pronounce it. They're an interesting nomad faction in the sense that they have access to cataphracts, and they are the most powerful cataphracts in the game, I believe, even more so than Eastern cataphracts and Hellenic cataphracts, which are both quite good. So the Massagetae are an interesting faction. Let's talk through their units here and then have some discussion as well as view a replay. Their generals you can choose from a noble horse archer, a cataphract horse archer, a Saka cataphract, or a Saka noble armored lancer, which is a mouthful. They have no melee cav, which kind of stinks. I really wish they would add some melee cav to these guys. If they would, I think that would make them even more versatile, and I'll tell you why here in a bit. Actually, you'll see why when I go into the replay. Let's take a look at their units. They have everything from Steppe Lancers here, to Steppe Armored Lancers, to Steppe Noble Lancers, Saka Cataphracts, and Saka Noble Lancers. The Saka Noble Lancers, I mean, these guys deliver a painful punch when it comes to cavalry. Now, they do have lower health and armor, I believe, than a Saka Cataphract. No, same armor, lower health, and lower morale, but they have more attack. So if you're going up against enemy units that you think are going to be relatively low armored, say like a Massagetae or whatever, these guys are going to dominate big time because of their attack and their charge and everything else all put in there. I think where these guys become less effective is whenever they get charged into infantry. That little bit of difference in health actually goes a long way when it comes to a grind out fight. Plus there's something else you should probably be aware of. If you look at the Saka Noble Lancer, Noble Armored Lancer, their armor piercing damage is 16 and 16. Let's take a look at the Cataphract, which is good. That's half armor piercing, half... I mean, that's a great armor piercing attack. Yeah, take a look at the weapon damage here. It's actually half and half too, so you actually get the same. Never mind. So even... wait, was I looking at the right one? Okay, yeah, the weapon damage is the same. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's right. So they have a higher melee attack, which means they're going to score a hit more often than the Saka Cataphracts, but that lower health is actually a big concern to me. A real big concern. And the Saka Cataphract has more melee defense, which really plays out nicely in the end as well. I'm not saying these guys are unusable. I'm just saying be careful about what you need them for. These guys are going to last a little longer in an infantry fight, I believe. These guys are going to be more punishing on the charge. These cheap Lancers are actually fantastic. Even these cheapest Steppe Lancers can do some damage in the right situation, and they're very fast, and have access to trample. Actually, so I said Sarissa Cav were the cheapest shot cav in the game. They're not. I said that in the last one. Actually, Steppe Lancers apparently are. These Steppe Armored Lancers have a little more armor and health and morale for not a whole lot more cost. Also a pretty cost-effective unit. And then the Steppe Noble Lancers just take that a step further, basically. Step, get the pun? Take it a step further. Oh, that's lame. Alright, so Steppe Horse Skirmishers. These guys can be helpful. The biggest problem with what I wish they would do with them is I wish they would give these guys shields. The Nomad factions suffer greatly at the hands of a pike boxing army, mainly because the pike boxers can put slingers inside. And those slingers can just dominate horse archers. They have a harder time taking down these armored horse archers, but those guys are so expensive that they're hardly useful. I mean, don't get me wrong, these are pretty good in a melee, and you can use them. I'm just saying that slingers can do a lot of damage, and it's just something to be aware of. I wish they would give these guys shields, and the reason I say that is because then they could kind of push forward with those shields, block some of the incoming slinger fire, get into range, and help distract slingers while your horse archers come in to do the rest. From there on out, you have a great offering of horse archers. My favorite of these Steppe horse archers, great cost or effectiveness for the cost. They will die extremely fast to slingers, so be aware of that. But they have heavy shot, which is going to be extremely useful. Armored horse riders or horse archers are just going to get, a little bit of extra armor. More armor, of course, when you move up. There is no missile attack difference. There is some melee attack difference. Starting here with the armored horse archers, you get a decent melee attack. And then, of course, a little more missile protection because of that. So just be aware of that. Let's see. They do have field artillery in the form of Steppe Ballista, which I'm not sure how helpful that is. If you're going to fight a siege, though, it'd be really helpful because otherwise you're all mounted. In any case, let's go take a look at a battle that I did with the Massagetae. Let's pull them up here. Did this on another one of the flat maps. These guys excel on flat maps. In fact, if you're going to be on a forested map, don't even bring these guys. And if your opponent's going to pike box, don't even bring these guys. The pike box with slingers inside of it is almost impenetrable for the nomadic factions. There is a couple of potential exceptions, but it's very difficult to pull off. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you the army I chose. I'm going to put it in slow motion because I want you all to see what happened. Up front I have all of my heavy shot cav, which is a mix of Steppe Noble Lancers, which is a medium tier, and yeah, it's all medium tier here. And then on my flank I've got cheap Steppe Lancers, and then my general is in a Massagetae just for protection. And I've got 7 horse archers behind them. So my horse archers are in the back because I don't want the Roman slingers to get anywhere near me, and I brought a Roman army that would be kind of geared towards a steppe faction. I wouldn't recommend bringing the Romans against the steppe faction, but, you know, somewhat geared towards it. They've got a bunch of slingers, and they have a bunch of spears to protect the slingers, and then they have elephants to support their cav. So a potential army. So my tactic against the Romans is actually going to be quite brutal. Their slingers will rip apart my horse archers. They do have spears. But what I've done here is set up kind of a sacrificial situation, and I'll let you all watch how it goes down. I'm just going to hard group my all my Noble Lancers and give a charge order, and then I right-click the trample, which activates it right before the charge. What this is going to do is force one of 2 things, and let's take a look at this moment. So I've got my charge line here, and we're pushing forward, so the enemy skirmishers will probably have to pull back, and then the Romans will present a line here, which I'll charge. And once the slingers have pulled back to here, the idea is that the Roman forces will be committed here, and I just need to sneak through at least one of these light horse units to get at the Roman skirmishers. Of course, in this case, the AIs, I'll let you see what they do. AI is going to be retarded and not pull back their Balearic slingers in time, and they actually get charged. But in real life, you see how I would be going to try and get rid of them. So see, like right here, intercept one of their cav units, which is great, and so now I've got a chance to charge their general. This gets the Romans busy, and had they brought their skirmishers back to this point, they would now be vulnerable to these units here. Yes, some of them could be protected potentially by the elephants, but I have 2 units coming through. And also at this point, while the slingers were being assaulted by this cav, I could have brought my horse archers in like I did here. I'm going to bring them in and shoot these elephants with heavy shot. Probably should have just used standard shot, because these guys aren't armored, and it would have fired faster and been more accurate. But you can see I am losing some Noble Lancers up front, but what it's done is effectively pinned down the Roman infantry, and I'm going to lose almost all of my Lancers. And in fact, at this point, I could probably pull these guys back, or whoops, wrong one. I could probably pull these units back, but I decide not to. I'm just going to leave them in the fight, just want to pin down the Romans. All I needed to do was kill the Roman cav and skirmishers, and it's game over. As it is in any battle with the, yeah, you can see when I took the heavy shot off and just opened fire, it really destroyed the elephants. Horse archers are quite capable of dealing with elephants, especially in large numbers. In any case, yeah, so the #1 way to win with the steppe factions is to just kill the enemy cav. If you can kill the enemy cav and eventually their skirmishers, you're going to win, because it just comes down to a shooting game. Now, I wouldn't recommend necessarily bringing Gladiator Spearmen to these battles, but I can see how someone might make that choice, because these guys have a really good attack versus cav, but they're also extremely vulnerable to missiles. Triarii are going to be very well armored against missiles and very hard to take down, but if you put your guys on heavy shot and let them do their job, they'll be good. A lot of people like to bring these Vigiles too, thinking that, hey, it's a spear unit, they'll be great to support. Vigiles suck. They're only good if you can charge them into a flank of a cav fight. These guys would get destroyed if I charged them with my Massagetae, or even maybe one of the cheaper Noble Lancers. But a lot of people bring them, and so that's why I simulated them into this battle. And you can see here that the heavy shot just starts to take its toll. The best thing for a Roman player to do at this point would be to go into Testudo, and it would actually be pretty stinking effective. Pretty very effective. Yeah, it really would be. Bonus versus large, and even if you dismounted a lot of these cataphracts, well, if you dismounted them, you might have a chance of winning. You could potentially dismount your cav and try and fight the Roman spears. The dismounted cav would do poorly versus gladiator spearmen, though, so I'd try and kill those guys first, since they can't go into Testudo. And I'd also pick away at the Vigiles and then consider dismounting my cav, and make sure you save some arrows for the end as well. But in this case, the AI is not that good, so I can take them out regardless. You can see here this Sake Equites getting charged by a sack of cataphracts, and the cataphracts are just going to destroy these Equites. A fight they were never intended for. In fact, I'm surprised they lasted that long. There they go. Yeah, that's what I expected. They're just trying to reinforce with Triarii. But yeah, once the Triarii get split up and get their flanks exposed, you can just let your horse archers go to town. Heavy shot is just absolutely brutal against almost any unit. But Triarii have 80 armor, and they are definitely missile resistant, and a pretty good choice to go against steppe factions because they don't have elephants. So it would definitely be a sensible choice. Plus they have defensive testudo, which would make them much more resistant to missile fire. And like I said, if they use that, my gambit would be to get rid of their cheaper spears first, and then dismount your melee cav, because I think they would do a lot better dismounted. You could also try some charge and retreat tactics. Charge them and then retreat, but I mean, the Triarii are going to make it hard for you to charge them from 2 directions. So yeah, and they have square formation, which would make it to where they can protect from all directions potentially. Yeah, just look at the missiles picking away at these guys over time. So yep, Massagetae, your main goal, like I said, kill their cav, kill their skirmishers, battle's yours, and you get to sit there and pick apart your enemy. Some people find it really enjoyable. A lot of people really like this kind of gameplay, and right now a lot of Nomad supporters are upset because pike boxes can so easily defeat Nomad factions, and I agree with them. I think the Nomads need some type of way to help them against a pike box, like maybe give them some foot slingers or something of the sort. It would be great because it would make for a more interesting match. Trying to think. So let's go back out to the screen here. So Nomad factions can be useful against Rome, although I'm not going to say that Rome doesn't have ways of beating them. Nomad factions are going to be pretty good against barbarians because just their general troop composition, but again, not unbeatable for the barbarians. Nomad factions are going to be terrible against a properly used pike box. And I mean terrible. But they're fun to use. It's good time. Horse spam. Everybody loves horse spam. They can be fun to throw into a 2v2 battle sometimes, where one player brings a ton of infantry and then you bring a bunch of really great nomad cav and horse archers. There's definitely uses for them, and they are dangerous on an open map. On a very forested map, probably not so much. Anyway, that is the Massagetae. Hope you all enjoyed that. HeirofCarthage signing off for now.